GM, trade of the day. So, I'm not long ETH, not long Bitcoin. Won't be getting long either yet either, because I don't like this kind of price action at a bottom. So, in my experience, from my data, if you see this double bottom, this kind of second push down that rejects, is really nice. But the price action that has followed it is not so much, because from my experience, if it comes down into a low like that, comes up, then it double bottoms, then it has a strong reaction, it breaks out above that, right? That second bottom confirms the bottom and actually goes higher than the preceding move. So the move down, let me get a fresh ETH chart. If that's a bottom that's going to hold for any kind of significant rally, the price action I would expect to see off this would be the area where price broke down from, right, which forms the bottom, and then it forms the top, right, so it forms the peak in the W. That should get broken on that second reaction. So it comes down, bounces up, comes down, bounces up, and it breaks through that. And then your retracement and your consolidation happens above it, and that's how you go higher. We didn't do that. We came right the way back up. As soon as it touched the high, profit taking, drop back down. Sold off too fast, grinding back up, took out the high, now running into resistance again. I don't expect this to go higher just yet. And maybe it will, it's just not a setup that I will take. And the problem is, every time price bounces 3%, 2%, everyone's like, oh, this is it, this could be the one. Like, people are going to waste so much fucking money trying to long at bad places, right? Because you just know they didn't buy here. Oh, well, not sure yet. And they definitely didn't buy the retest. You had opportunities to buy near the lows. And now suddenly everyone's like, no, let's buy this breakout, just a quick trade, easy up to here. It's not how it works. So for me, I need to see some confirmation that this area, this previous range from when we broke down here, is now shifting. Meaning, from when we lost that last level, down into this lows, and all of this consolidation, we have a value area here, we've ETH trying to consolidate near the highs of it. Is price going to actually break out and confirm, or is it going to come back down one more time, back into the bottom, coming back up, consolidating, breaking out? Because that then, to me, would look more like a bottom. It would be sort of a flat top, a third attempt, that fails, comes back up, consolidates, breaks out. Otherwise, it's a bearish market, and anytime the price tries to make a move higher, it's going to get sold into. That will keep happening until the market gives a clear signal. Like, the thing about this with like bears and bearish markets, they're eventually going to be very wrong, right? But until they're wrong, every rally will fail, and you just keep taking your low time frame mean reversion trades where you take a long, and as soon as it reaches resistance, you take profit. And if you're shorting, as soon as it reaches support, you take profit. That's just the nature of these moves. When you reach a actual bottom, right? So, like, for example, it's compared to one that's not a bottom, right? So look at how many times this bounces and fails, and bounces and fails, and bounces and fails, and bounces and fails, and fails and fails, and looks like a bottom, and it's not a bottom, and then eventually it gets all the way down to the bottom. But from April until October, selling every bounce, fading every strong rally, every push was the right play. And then the market becomes conditioned to that. And so then whenever it does end, right, people don't believe it. When the actual bottom is in, with that strong move up, what happens? That big pump gets sold into. So people look at that and they're like, oh, that's bearish. Well, no, that's the market doing what the market has been taught to do for the past 6 months. Then it comes back, fails to go lower. And then as it comes up, everything's getting sold into, right? Trying to sell it, trying to sell it, trying to sell it, trying to sell it. And you'll notice then a shift as Ethereum goes out of all of this bottoming range, comes out of all of it and consolidates above. But the market's slow to adapt. It's hard for the market to accept actually, no, we're now bullish again. And where is that going to come in this chart? I don't think it's yet. I think there's still plenty of areas where price is going to reject. As soon as it pumps up, people take profit and drop back. I look at this breakdown area from 34 to 28 and think that some kind of consolidation needs to form in here. Like, to me, it probably needs to test that side once, test it again, and then get above it, and then it goes. Whatever it's going to be, it's probably going to test that breakdown point at least twice before the actual breakout. That'll be my expectation, which gives us, quite a while before anything remotely bullish would form again. Anyway, get rid of all this shit and just look at Ethereum from a perspective of price. I think when these highs keep getting grabbed and people keep taking profit, it's not quite an area where I would be looking to get in. When I've traded the band's crossover in the past, I don't like when price is consolidating above it, right? That's also not a good thing. If you look at an example just here, right? Whenever you consolidate beneath the bands, that's good. Whenever you get above them, before the bands turn, and then the bands flip green, it's quite often a sign of more of just like a short squeeze or just squeezing out, poor positioning, rather than any kind of real strength being built. And the way I see it is we had a very strong downtrend. You retested the band, sold off, came in, and it's choppy. It's pushing up, it's taking the stops, coming back, it's pushing up, it's taking the stops, and it's not something that screams bullish to me. It's very volatile, and a lot of times volatility in a consolidation is just the continuation of the preceding trend, right? You want to see volatility die. You see high volatility all the way through this, so you have a breakdown and high volatility, which leads to continuation. You have a breakdown, you still have high volatility. I want to see this, just like it did over here, is where it eventually just squeezes down into nothing and it's almost like it's not moving at all, and then suddenly it just starts to move up. That's when you can consider the downside has been exhausted and then it goes up. I don't think we're there yet. In fact, we're definitely not there yet because there's clearly still a lot of volatile moves happening. And volatility tells you that there's emotional trades. Why? Because it drops down really fast, but then bounces really fast, but then drops all the way back down really quick and then bounces all the way up and then back down up. Tells you people are uncertain. They're flip-flopping. Why would you be dumping 1 minute, pumping the next, dumping 1 minute, pumping the next? The market doesn't know where it's going. Market doesn't have a clear direction. And when there's an emotional traders, it doesn't give you confidence that the higher time frame trend shift is in progress. So I still think there's a little bit more time to go. The ETH ETFs are going to get approved shortly. I think most of them have put in their final amended S1, and what day are we now? Tuesday 9th. It's probably going to be approved tomorrow or Thursday. I would say definitely approved by the end of the week. Start trading live next Monday. Outside of just little pumps whenever some of that news drops, which I don't think would be that impactful. The market knows it's happening. You'll see like a spike or whatever. The next thing to look forward to is when they actually start to trade live, what happens on day one. And if you take you back, remember a couple of weeks ago I said, almost certainly you're going to see selling pressure on day one, as a lot of positions that were built have to be unwound. But that was when we were over here. And I said that I thought the ETF going live, selling pressure could bring us down to here. Now we're already here. So what you want to really be looking out for, let's say they go live on Monday, right? They go live on next Monday. And you do see selling pressure. And you see a lot of outflows. And then there's a couple of days of selling and it's just doing that. Bottom's in. Because the last thing for people to worry about for ETH is what? Big outflows. If the big outflows come, which they will, right? There's definitely going to be some selling on day one, and I don't think there's going to be that much demand on day one. So it's probably going to be enough to take us down. If it's here, probably to the lows. Now, if we're here, it probably does make us break the lows. So you have to wait and see price action at that time. My point is, if you see the ETH outflows and you see people talk about heavy selling, but it's not breaking to new lows, that's probably a decent sign that there isn't going to be enough. Like, who else is going to come along and sell ETH to push us lower? You're probably at a point then when you're running out of sellers, which is good. And Bitcoin the same. Bitcoin will run out of sellers once the German government stops selling, Mt. Gox selling slows down. Once you run out of sellers, you're going to have some kind of bounce. Now, that might not mean you go to new all-time highs. It might just mean you have a nice move back up inside an efficiency and then all the way back down. But you can run out of sellers, and you will. So that's one thing to watch out for. So trade of the day, which I've been talking about for a while, setting up. I'm not long on ETH here. Don't see what I want to see yet. Bands crossing green is necessary, and lower time frame price action though doesn't give me. It doesn't tell me that this is going to be the one that moves to there. I keep seeing that, and I think this is probably going to see positions building, and then we have a drop off, and then a reclaim, and then that's where it goes. I would say there is probably a better place for me if it happens. Otherwise, if it doesn't bother me. There'll be plenty more trades. GM.